One of the highlights of this year's Melbourne Documentary Film Festival is a feature documentary called The Nicholas Building, and it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the director of the film, Mark Newbound. Mark, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Now, this is such an intriguing documentary about the inhabitants of the Nicholas Building, which is located in Swanston Street in Melbourne. How did it all come about?
So I've been making a lot of short films about artists working in their studios. They're just sort of observational documentaries, short films I've been doing for a while. And so I sort of got to know a lot of people in the sort of arts and crafts community. And some of those people were in the Nicholas Building. And so I kind of thought it'd be nice to together a range of them and then add them with interviews and make a whole feature film out of them. So a sort of extension of the short films that I've been making.
Because there are 12 people who are featured in the documentary, and it's such an intricate look at their artistic work and vision. How easy was it to film all that?
It took a long time, yeah. Most of the things were okay. So I suppose the film is sort of divided into two parts. One part, which is one set of parts, I guess, is people making things. That's the film's silent, other than the noises of the person making the whatever it is they're making, and then the other half of it is interviews. And so I did all the films of them making things first. And that's kind of it's a kind of a long process to go there, and sometimes day after day a little bit if something that takes a while, and just patiently film everything that they do and then take it back and edit it. Yeah, and so I think that there's 10 films of people making things. Um, yeah.
Okay. Were you doing all the filming, or did you have a small crew? How did it all work?
Yeah, I did it myself. So I quite like working by myself in that way, especially when it's sort of like that. Without a crew, it makes it makes it more intimate or something. Like, it's just me and it's just the artist, and they can sort of feel a bit more natural about what they're doing, I think, without a crew hanging around. And like I've heard, people say to me, I've asked them about it, they kind of say, oh yeah, I kind of forget you're there after a while. You kind of just sort of, I say, just do it exactly the way you'd be doing if I wasn't here. And I'll just move my camera around and get a different angle and shoot this and shoot that and try and stay out of your way. Every now and then I might sort of say, oh, can you pause for a second? I really want to get a focus on this, but not that often. Usually it's just as they make it, I'm shooting it. Yeah, so I like that. I like that. And then the sound, I can pick up the sound myself with the camera that's on the mic that's on the camera. But I did go back and do some Foley later on to kind of clean it up.
Okay. And did you have any issues or resistance from any of the people that you were filming? Any concerns as you were filming? Anything like that?
Oh no, no, they're fine. Yeah, they were happy with it. I mean, yeah. Um, the thing is that they like it. I mean, people I've talked to about, because I made quite a few of these before the Nicholas Building thing, and people like it. People like the fact that I've been able to capture something about the solitary nature of making something and the kind of quiet nature of it is. It's like a person that's like one person said to me, "Oh, that's yeah, that you got that what it's like for me. It's me myself alone in my studio, patiently crafting this thing." Um, that's the life of my daily life.
Yeah. Okay. Nicholas Building may not be too familiar to everyone. It's a heritage protected building. Tell me a bit more about it and what it is meant to represent.
So yeah, so the building's been there since the 1920s or 30s, I think it was built, and it was originally sort of financial services offices, that kind of thing, tax accountants or whatever. And then eventually, it kind of, I think the 60s, 50s, it started to be more, the rag trade started to move in. And then in the early 90s, artists started to move in there. The artists and craftspeople started moving in. And so it became, it was a cheap rent that drove people there because the building was kind of getting pretty run down by then and still kind of pretty run down. So it was kind of, it just got word got around amongst creative people that this was a place you could go and that there's cheap rent and there's a community of artists there. And it just built up from then until the point where now there's quite a lot of people there. And I mean, there's 9 floors. There's probably about maybe I think 10, 15 studios on each floor. And now it's like, there's lots of people, jewelers and painters and shoemakers, and there's a few art galleries as well. And yeah, a lot of tattoo artists at the moment too.
Ah, okay.
Um,
It's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you call the film The Nicholas Building because my initial hunch was that it was going to be about the history of the building and instead, of course, it's turned out to be the artistic inhabitants of the building.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, there's a little bit of the thing about the Nicholas Building that makes it a little bit newsworthy at the moment is that it's kind of the creative community is a little bit dying there because the rents have been put up and they're trying to sell the building and I think the owners of the building aren't so crazy about the way it is at the moment. I don't quite get it, but
Uh,
um, and so when I was making it, it was like, I mean, how am I going to handle that part of it? When it came to do the interviews, whether it's going to be about that whole thing, or whether I'm just going to stick to artistic process and,
hmm,
um, you know, and I thought, it's a different film, to deal with that history and
yeah.
the political nature of what's going on there at the moment. So I'll just kind of leave it out completely. It's kind of,
Yeah.
I don't reckon I can do it justice with the what I've got so far. Um, and yeah, so I just sort of stuck to artistic process. And then you're right. So it's called the Nicholas Building, but in a way, it's not really about the Nicholas Building. The only reason that the title just the fact that everybody has a studio inside the Nicholas Building is the only thing that kind of connects it to that
Sure.
theme. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. No, I absolutely understand. And look, it's a 90-minute documentary. It must have been a challenge for you to edit it, to make sure everyone had pretty good representation in the film.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So yeah, so I had so first I had the 10 films of people making things, and originally they were a lot longer, so I cut them down to be sort of 5 minutes each or 4.5 minutes each or something like that. So that means that okay, there's 10 people that I've got the film of them making something, and then I went back to interview them afterwards, and I wanted to get the same 10 people, but some people had moved out actually because yeah, like I said, this thing with the rent increase, like people had actually moved out. So I didn't get to interview the same 10 people that I filmed making things. I had a couple of other interviews, one with a gallery director and another one with a guy who was setting up a show in the gallery that's inside the Nicholas Building. But everyone else I kind of managed to interview. And then I stuck that also to, it's kind of quite a bit formulaic in that way. I like stuck to that kind of 4.5 minutes per interview. So I would did an hour interview for each person and then cut it down to 4.5 minutes for each person, or roughly that. And it was hard, It was like, how do you get the best thing out of that hour? I mean, I think you could have put a lot more in than that. So, but it was, uh, yeah, people said interesting things. So it was easy. It was kind of easy. It was easy to find something interesting within that hour interview for each person, but which bit to choose was kind of hard, I guess. Yeah.
Sure.
Nobody's seen it yet, so I guess I'll
Ah,
see what they think whether they were properly represented or not once I show them the interview. And
ah.
there's a couple of people who said, "Oh, can you show it to me first before you put it in the final thing? I want to make sure it's kind of, So I said, "Yeah, sure." And they were like, "Oh, yeah, no, it's quite that's fine."
Okay. That's always interesting to get the people you film's reaction to being in the film. So it'd be interesting to hear more about that. Um, Tell me also about there is some music sound used in the film, but there's no narration.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really. Okay, narration. Yeah. I mean, you could sort of see how narration might fit a little bit, especially when people are making things, like this is what they're doing, but I don't think it really needs it, like
Hmm.
you can see what people are doing and I think that, hmm, like without having a narration, it allows for more kind of like the sort of lyrical nature of the film to come
Yeah.
through more. Like it's quiet, it's contemplative. There's
Hmm.
nobody trying to tell you what to think, I guess, is the thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair enough. It's always these artistic decisions that you make as a filmmaker about what's going to work best, and that's perfectly fine. So the film is premiering, is that right, at the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival?
that's right. Yeah, yep, yeah. So that's going to be on Sunday the 27th in the afternoon at the Cinema Nova.
Yep, which is of course in July. And do you plan to roll out the film later on?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's the thing for me. I'm not haven't got much experience with film distribution, and so um, I'm going to contact some distributors and see if they can help me with that and see how I go. For the time being, this is the only screening. Yeah,
Okay, no, that's fair enough. So are you also looking at other projects at the moment?
I don't know what to do yet next. I'm going to kind of yeah. I mean, this was kind of a lot of work, and I finished it, and I'm going to screen it. What do I do next? I'm not sure. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I understand you're still contemplating that. Do you have any particular films or filmmakers in mind in terms of influences on your filmmaking style?
Yeah, look, there's a guy I really like called Vincent Moon. He's a French filmmaker, and he does short documentaries of musicians. He kind of like travels the world, and again, it's just him with a camera. He doesn't use a crew at all, and he films them performing a a piece of their music, and he does it all in one single take and just kind of like moves the camera around them and usually gets them puts them in a place which is sort of something personal to them, like a public park in their neighborhood or something like that. They're not big musicians, they're kind of like, you know, not famous people or anything like that. And so he has this lovely way of filming the person and the thing their instrument and the environment that they're in. That really influenced me quite a lot. Like this idea of getting the artist and focusing on what they do and giving that complete respect. What is you know really focusing on them and what they're doing. Um, and leaving everything else out. No narration, no voiceovers, no nothing. Just the process. Yeah.
Okay,
So Vince, yeah, like him a lot.
good example. Yeah,
He's all this stuff's on. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. All this stuff's on Vimeo if you ever want to have a look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that sounds fair enough. Well, look, Mark, congratulations on the Nicholas Building, which is screening at the Melbourne Documentary Film Festival in July. And we've been speaking to the director, Mark Newbound. Mark, thanks so much for talking with me.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. All the best. Bye bye.